Well, thank you very much for having me here tonight. And I do, first of all, want to thank, of course, Diane, Naomi, and the rest of the committee for having me here tonight. It is truly an honor to be with all of you. And when I heard that the event this year was going to be an Italian theme, I was all in. I'm a second-generation Italian-American, and my parents, well, my grandparents, excuse me, come from the island of Ischia in the Bay of Naples. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Ischia. Now, how many of you are also of Italian heritage? Okay, not surprised that many, because we are Rhode Island after all. But even if you're not a paisan, don't worry. The things that we're going to be talking about tonight cross all cultural boundaries. For example, the big Sunday dinner. How many of you grew up having a big Sunday dinner over at Grandma's house? Yeah. Oh my gosh, those were amazing. Now maybe you didn't go every weekend, but I bet probably at least at the holidays, Easter, Thanksgiving, Christmas, you had the big meal. Anybody remember those?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that wasn't a meal, it was a marathon. Oh my gosh, my brother and I would skip breakfast knowing that we were going to be eating at the table for hours. And Grandma didn't just make just the Italian holiday food, she made the American holiday food. No, couldn't substitute anything, no. So we would start off with soup, and then we would have lasagna. Couldn't have just pasta, we had to have lasagna, and then the turkey or the ham or whatever. Oh my gosh, each dish was more delicious than the one before. And Grandma, with that serving spoon, and with joy in her heart, have us some more, have us some more. You're too skinny, didn't matter how big or little you were, have us some more. And every once in a while, we would have somebody join us that had never been to Grandma's house for Thanksgiving or Easter or whatever. And they would make the mistake of saying, "Oh, no, signora, no, zia, I can't eat anymore, no, thank you." Oh, some of you know it's coming. That's when Grandma would push herself away from the table, one hand on her heart, the other hand to God, invoking the heavens. "Take me now, Jesus, take me now. I'm a failure, and they don't like my cooking, take me now." Any of you have grandmas who did that? Right. So of course when Grandma did that, what did we do? We would have us some more, have us some more. Now, it amazed me how she could do this with hours of a meal, and everything was at the perfect temperature. I don't know how she did that. And the weeks before a holiday, the house looked like a bakery exploded. There were cookies and pies and cakes everywhere. Anywhere there was a flat surface. In the bedroom, on the dresser, in the hallway, on the stairs. Yeah, some of you had all this. And it amazed me how Grandma could do all of that with just having one stove and kitchen. So what really amazed me, though, is that she still did this the last decade of her life when she was in a wheelchair. Now, this is the 70s, folks, so handicapped accessible was not a term, at least not where I was. But you know what? That never slowed Grandma down. There were things she couldn't do. She couldn't help Grandpa with the planting or the harvesting of the garden, but she could still do the canning. She still cooked and cleaned every day. She couldn't go visit friends and family, but they could come to her, or at least talk on the telephone. One thing Grandma never did was complain.
Never.
Not once did I hear my grandmother throw herself a pity party. It just wasn't done. And that was one of the keys of the Italian art of living that I learned at a very young age, and it's this: life is not fair. Did I surprise you with that? Life is not fair, but we choose how to live it. We decide to become bitter or to become better. Or as I like to say, when life gives you lemons, make limoncello. And this isn't exclusive to my grandmother. It's part of the Italian culture. And maybe you heard about a coffee shop owner in Naples back in the spring when Italy only allowed outdoor dining. And this gentleman didn't have outdoor dining, he only had a little coffee shop. So he made these round discs of wood, and he had them, and on the bottom he put like a pocket kind of thing underneath. And he took these discs and he put them on top of the traffic dividers. They're like poles that separate the street from the sidewalk so people couldn't drive onto the sidewalk or park there. So he took the discs, put them on top of the poles. And now for my next act. So he put them on top of the poles, and instant outdoor dining. Ta-da! And what about a friend of mine, Annalisa? She lives in Sicily, and about 7 or 8 years ago, she was approaching her 30th birthday, examining her life. And she was doing fairly well as an accountant, but she wasn't happy. She said there was no joy in her life. So she started following her passion, and she started teaching cooking classes. And things were going so well that she was able to leave the accounting and have her cooking school full time. Everything was going great. People came from around the world to take her cooking classes in Sicily. And then, I'm sorry to say the word, COVID hit. Yeah, everything came to a screeching halt, as we all very well know. Annalisa tells how she cried for a week. But at the end of the week, she realized that these tears are not helping. What can I do, she said, to change things? So she started teaching cooking classes online. Now I know that's nothing remarkable, that happens all the time. But she made these meal kits with all the ingredients to make an authentic Sicilian meal. So you would order your kit, there were 3 for Europe, 1 for the United States, and Annalisa would teach you a live cooking class over the internet. Now again, I know, we've all seen that, but here's the twist. All the ingredients were wrapped in a beautiful linen tablecloth that Annalisa got from a local merchant. All the ingredients inside were locally sourced. So not only did Annalisa rescue her own business, she helped the people around her. And that leads to another key. It's a perfect example of another key of the Italian art of living. And it's that sense of community, that passion for reaching out to other people and connecting with them, a spirit of generosity and lending a helping hand. And before my first trip to Italy in 2001, my Uncle Johnny said to me about the Italian people, and I quote, he said, "Their generosity will change you." And he was right. Have any of you experienced that when you went to Italy and how generous? Absolutely, of course. Now, our family obviously showered us with attention, and they treated us like royalty, but even total strangers. I would go into a gift shop and buy trinkets for my nieces, spend a couple of dollars each, and they would wrap it like it was the Hope Diamond. Yes. Or we took a walking food tour of the Trastevere region of Rome one time. Ask my fiance later about porchetta sandwiches. And at the end of the tour guide invited us all over for his house for dinner. Now, how weird is this? Up until just a couple of hours ago, we were 8 or 9 total strangers to this guy, and here he is on his telefonino, his cell phone. "Hey, honey, I got some people coming over for supper tonight. What can we make, and what do we need me to pick up?" Now, can you imagine if you go home tonight and your sweetheart tells you, "Oh, honey, we've got 8 strangers coming over for dinner tomorrow. How's that going to go over?" Right. Can you imagine? But that spirit of generosity, and again, that passion for connecting with other people, is so powerful. And it's not about doing anything majestic. It's about doing just what's part of your daily lives, and then sharing that with others. Did any of you grow up near Providence College in Providence? Anybody? Yeah, oh, yes. Do any of you remember Bus Stop Market on Admiral Street? Oh, yeah. You're all near Providence College. Tony Bus Stop, obviously not his real last name, Tony Bus Stop and his wife used to get her hair done at the same salon where my stylist was. So I would run into Tony every couple of months. And every single time I saw him, he would reminisce about how my grandfather, who was a concrete mason, how my grandfather poured the stairs to the back of Tony's store. Tony would go on to say how my grandmother would always send food over to him. Pasta, sandwiches, whatever. And I think that's funny, he owned a market and my grandmother sends food over. That was her. So do you think 60 or 70 years ago, my grandfather said, "You know what? I think I'm going to pour some stairs for Tony at a store, so that in the 2000s, they're going to be talking about it. Hey, Maria, whip up some pasta. This is going to make a great story. No, of course he didn't say that. They just did what they loved to do and shared it with other people. So we don't have to resolve world hunger. You don't have to take your family on an all-expense paid trip to Italy, but if you do, please adopt me. But as we do these things as part of life, we never know the ripple effect that it has in the future. And I think that's why my favorite movie of all time and of any season is Frank Capra's It's a Wonderful Life. Now I know I see some of you rolling your eyeballs saying, oh my gosh, it's such a sad movie, I've seen it 1,000 times. But first of all, it's a really good movie. And it proves that point. And for those of you that haven't seen the movie, your homework is to see it. But if you haven't seen the movie, it's about George Bailey, who as a young man had these grand dreams and aspirations. He was going to travel and explore. He was going to build bridges and cities. He was going to make his mark on the world. And every time he was about to embark on his adventure, something else happened that kept him there in little old Bedford Falls. He felt like a failure. So much so that he thought the people that he loved would be better off if he'd just never been born. Through a series of events, his guardian angel showed him just that. Showed him how, hey George, if you'd never been born, you wouldn't be there to save your brother Harry from falling through the ice. Then your brother Harry would be there in World War II to save the lives of hundreds of U.S. servicemen. Those ripples in a pond. It's just a matter of doing what you love to do and sharing that, trying to reach out, that connecting, that sense of community. It could be as simple as you're in the drive-thru at Dunkin' Donuts and you pay for the car behind you. Or you have a coworker that just moved into town. Invite them over for dinner, knowing that they don't know anybody yet. Every time you do something with a spirit of love and generosity, you are offering hope. And don't you think our world needs a little bit more hope these days? Yes. And Diane, you could probably know this quote. One of my favorite Italian quotes is, Finché c'è vita, c'è speranza. As long as there is life, there is hope. I heard a story very recently about a guy and his wife that were taking, just running errands for the weekend. She's in the passenger seat, he's driving the car, and she noticed that at every stoplight, he's waving to people. You know, even the guy spinning the sign, selling something, he's waving hi to everybody. She thought, well, this is kind of weird. They go into Home Depot, and now he is verbally saying to people, hey, how you doing? Love those sneakers. Or the guy with the camouflage vest, thank you for your service. So now she's really perplexed. And in the way home, she asked him, what in the world is going on here? Oh, why did you suddenly become the self-appointed welcome wagon? What's up with that? And he said that he read an article that morning about people that were so depressed that they were actually thinking about taking their own lives. But they didn't, thank goodness. And so the interviewer wanted to know why. Why did you decide to keep living? What is it that gave you some hope? They said, overwhelmingly, it's because somebody reached out to me. Of course, it could be a family or a friend that sent them a text message, mailed them a birthday card, but you'd be surprised at how many total strangers just said hi, smiled at them, love those sneakers, thank you for your service. That's the power that you and I have. Just by reaching out to other people, we can offer hope. There's great power in such simple actions. None of us wants to be just a blip on the timeline of our era, just to be forgotten. We want to have a life of meaning and purpose. And the way that we do that is by inspiring others when we overcome our challenges, like my grandmother, like Diane, when we strive to make a difference by connecting and reaching out with love and generosity, and that we never, ever give up hope. Where there is life, there is hope. Thank you so much for having me with you tonight. I wish you the best always and in all ways. One love, That was so
So beautiful, Dawn. Thank you, thank you. Another round of applause for Dawn. I think you're going to need to hear those words tonight. I get so emotional. I think it's menopause too, but oh my goodness. And it really kind of dovetails so nicely into the next feature of our evening. And I want to ask every rest